grew up in southern Illinois, across the river from St. Louis, and I was a fan at Fairmont Park in Copiah Downs. That's how I got exposed to racing from my grandfather, and worked in the steel industry. And the late 70s, the steel industry was falling apart, and I graduated college, and I had an hourly job at the mill and got laid off. When I came back, I would get a salary position, and I went down to Florida for the winter, and 28 months after working on the racetrack, when I got the call back to the mill, I said, forget it, and I've been doing this ever since. For you, it's for you. I'm fortunate when I wake up, I don't have to go to work, you know? I enjoy what I do. And in Illinois, they had a really good state-bred program, and the guy that I initially galloped a lot of horses for, my main client or mentor, I guess you would call him, he had a lot of Illinois breds, and we would run at the fairs in the summertime and get the young horses ready and then bring them to Fairmont. And he and I partnered up on a couple, was kind of how I got started. So I was the owner, jockey, trainer, band driver, the whole bit. It's kind of how I got started. And then eventually a guy from St. Louis gave me a string of horses to take to Chicago in 1988, and I got my assistant license at that meet, and then the following spring I took out my own license. So I've been partners and, you know, galloped for people and had a horse or two of my own for a long, long time.
What are those horses you've ever had as a trainer in your name?
10.
At one time, 10.
Yeah. And usually 5 or 6. And 10, when I got 10, I was trying hard to get rid of 2 or 3 of them. You know, we had won a big race in Keeneland, and I got home, and, you know, he was a very inexpensive yearling that turned out to be a good horse, and so I got a bunch of other inexpensive horses that were inexpensive horses. So I like to keep it small, where me and perhaps no more than 2 other employees, because when I train, I'm the trainer, right? I get on them and like to truly be hands-on, not just say I am. I actually do a great deal of the work, and I find that very rewarding. I got into horse and stayed in racing because I love the horse.
How have the economics of of training a small stable changed?
It's always been tough. It's always been real tough, and for somebody like me, I'm a big part of my labor force, right? And so, you know, like any other industry or business, your labor and your help is a big part of your costs, and those are going up and up, and excuse me, people are getting, it's harder and harder to find good help, whether you have 2 or 3 horses or whether you have 30 or 40. Lucky enough to have the same guy for a long time. Tell
us about Lucio Mata, who's been with you said, like over 30 years.
Well, going on 30.
Going on 30.
It'll be 30 in January. I was at Oakland and had 3, and I was doing everything, hot walking, galloping, rubbing, and his friend, or his boss, was a friend of mine. I had 3 horses, and in between my horses, I would go up and help Mike and gallop his horses. And Mike passed away, and one morning, and all 3 horses that Mike trained were owned by the same man, who was a mutual friend, and he gave me the horses, and the old man's been with me since.
Talk about the decision when you came to Kentucky and why, and your thoughts reflecting back on that move.
Well, I was getting better horses, you know, and I was never home. When I started out at Fairmont, you could pretty much be there 9-10 months of the year, and, you know, travel if you wanted. There was always something to do, and if your downtime was a month, you know, there wasn't a lot going on, so you didn't have a lot of expenses. But I kept getting better and better horses. I started going to Oakland and had some success there, and then I came across a nice horse, and had some success in Kentucky, had some success at Keeneland with him. And since I was never home, it was getting hard on the home life, so we were looking for another year-round circuit. So it was either move up to Chicago or move to Kentucky, and the horse near the bank gave me an opportunity to get my foot in the door here. And I guessed right, because the industry's gone to hell in Illinois, and it's always going to thrive in Kentucky. At least I hope it's always going to thrive in Kentucky. So, and it's been a benefit, and I've been here 25 years now, so we're still at it.
Tell us about the horse that won the Transylvania.
Well, that's near the bank. That's the one that got me.
Near the banks.
He was a $3,500 yearling purchase, and he wound up winning 3 stakes, He won a couple overnights in Chicago as a 2-year-old, and then Transylvania is a race 3-year-olds. So he was 2 for 2 on the surface at the distance, and I took him. I shipped him from Oakland to Keeneland to run him on the turf. We had stakes placed a couple times on dirt that winter, and he finished second to Boston Harbor in the Ellis Juvenile the year before. So he was a pretty decent kind of horse, and then that kind of opened some eyes, and I moved to Kentucky the following year and brought him back, and he won a money allowance race that year.
So you were helping Lucio when the horse was getting a bath, and you made the comment that I'm not Brad Cox, and we were making the comment not many people are,
Yeah.
but you represent more like the other 99% of the horsemen in horse racing.
Probably, yeah.
But it's getting harder and harder for that 99%, it seems, to stay in business.
Certainly, and like I said, I have a huge edge because I do a lot of the work, I mean, I
Could
like
you,
it.
Could you afford it if you weren't galloping your own horses?
No, not for what I charge, and I have to get more, I have to get a whole lot more than what I'm getting. I'm basically volunteering that. If I had to pay someone, I'd be in the hole.
You have one horse, which we watched train this morning.
Yeah, well,
and it's hard though to keep those horses and to replace horses that you lose in this day and age.
Yeah,
Is claiming's the number one way that you get horses right now?
At the moment, yeah, I've lost 9 shakes in a row. I've got empties I'm trying to fill, and you go over there, and I dropped 9 times, and I got one, and the horse was voided. The one I did get was voided at the test barn. I've gone over a couple times and passed on a couple, and a couple times I've gone over to get them, and they were scratched. Where we had planned on dropping on them, and they were scratched. So it's been it's a struggle. There are fewer and fewer horses to be claimed, and more people going at it because there's less risk involved with the voided claim rules and all that stuff, and especially in Kentucky now that Churchill Downs has instituted some rules to keep horses in the state for a little bit. But before this year, or I guess it was last fall, it was pretty much open season. These are the best horses in the country. They can win wherever they go, and people from all over come here to claim. And
then take them back. They don't
and then
run
take them back,
the state.
and again, I guess it's something to be said for free enterprise, but it makes it tough on the locals, and it certainly makes it tough on someone like me.
A lot of these stalls are filled by people that also have horses at Churchill. They're the
Right.
big thing. But there's a lot of small people that just have a few. And
small and competent too. I mean, there's a lot of competent trainers here. It's just for the lack of the right connection or meeting the right person and clicking, and it's all about getting breaks, right? And showing up and getting a break, right?
Wearing the right hat, the Kentucky
you bet.
HBPA hat. You are a proud member of the Kentucky HBPA.
Yes, ma'am.
What does the HBPA mean to you and do for you?
Well, it's my voice. It's our voice, the horseman's voice. I mean, the everyday horseman, and in spite of what some of the bigger outfits say, that's their voice too. They have their back as well as mine.